So it's been a while. I've collected a few new books. Some were sent to me for my birthday from friends or lovely subscribers on the channel, and some I have collected, some I was sent by publishers. So let's just dive straight in, shall we? Hi guys, welcome back, bienvenue and all that jazz. It's time to talk about some books. And in particular today, I'm going to be doing a bigger than anticipated book haul. So if I know something about the books or I've read the books, I'll point you in the direction of videos as per usual. But other than that, let's just dive straight in. First off, I'll talk about a couple books that publishers sent me. So I have managed to get on to be a rep for Penguin Teen. So I get access to fun LGBT arcs or Penguin Teen fantasy arcs, and I'm here for it. We all know we love some queer or some fantasies. So let's just talk about it first. They sent me The 99 Boyfriends of Micah Summers by Adam Sass. So I read this a while ago. This is a very fun, almost Cinderella-esque queer high school love story where our main character is kind of in love with love. And so he has these like little crushes that he has on boys that he sees around town. And his way of kind of working through his feeling of the crush or whatever is he will draw them in like a fantastical lens as like a pirate or a merman or whatever and post them on this kind of anonymous Instagram account. And so he has done 99 different drawings to date, and now he wants Boy 100 to be his first boyfriend. There's an adorable meet cute. There is a coming to realize your self-worth and what you want from a relationship. There's so many good things about this. It is a little heteronormative, but it's still a lot of fun, and I would highly recommend it if you're looking for just fun, male, written by a gay man romance. Then they recently sent me Another Dimension of Us by Mike Albo. This is coming out on January something or another. It sounds like it's male romance sci-fi. I really don't know. I saw the cover, I heard LGBTQ, I heard male romance, and I said, please send me. And so here it is. I will be reading it. I don't really need to know much more about it. It's very short. It should be very fast and fun. And we all know I like me some romance between men. Weirdly enough. Oh. Then for the birthday, my friend Chris over at A Fictional Escapist kindly sent me a copy of A Taste of Golden Iron by Alexandra Rowland. I don't know why I stumble over her name so much. I always want to say Alexandra Bracken. Alexandra Rowland. And we are buddy reading this month, so stay tuned for thoughts on this. I really don't know much. I hear it's slow burn male fantasy romance, but I really don't hear anybody say much about the plot or what it's actually about. So maybe we'll take a little gander. Okay, so it seems like there was some kind of break-in and some kind of political snafu, and so the prince, in order to make himself look better, decides that he wants to head up this investigation, investigating this kind of break-in or whatever, and he gets assigned this bodyguard. Slow burn male romance with the bodyguard. I don't know, we'll see. It's a power dynamic problem since it's the boss and the employee kind of, but whatever. We'll see what happens. I hope it's a lot of fun. I hope it gives me all the gay fantasy vibes that I want because I am gay. Then I don't even remember when I pre-ordered this, but if randomly came in the mail, so I clearly did. This is Stellarlune by Shannon Messenger. This is book 9 in the Keeper of the Lost Cities series. So this is very much adorable middle grade. So if you want kind of magical school, you want the vibes of Percy Jackson or HP, but with a female protagonist and elves and kind of this intrigue of maybe political unrest and what's going on, then I'd highly recommend you check out The Keeper of Lost Cities. We're following Sophie Foster, who was kind of sent into the human world unbeknownst to her. And so one day she discovers that she is an elf and gets whisked away to the lost cities that have been hidden from humans. And she has to find out why was she sent to live with humans. She has to learn to be an elf. She has to fit in at this Magical Academy Foxfire. And this is the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition, which comes with a really cool reversible dust jacket. And so it has very much like fun, fantastical vibes on the dust jacket. And so I can't wait to get to this. I still need to continue rereading The Keeper of the Lost Cities. Elle and I read book 1 a couple months ago now. And so I need to continue that reread so that I can get to book 9 because I remember very little of what happens between book 2 and 8. And I never read the novella called 8.5, so Stellarlune, it's here when I'm ready for it. Then, since we're already in the middle grade sphere, let's just finish it off. So, a lovely friend that I met on the Bookstagram sent me a couple birthday gifts. The other one is still hidden in here somewhere. We'll get to it eventually. But her name is Alicia, and she sent me Amari and the Night Brothers, which I love. It's another middle grade, but this time instead of magical school, think magical, almost like summer camp, but it's like almost like business summer camp. So there's this kind of Bureau of Supernatural Affairs who kind of is almost like the Men in Black, but magic. So if you love Men in Black, but you wanted it fantasy and you wanted it cool in middle grade with a wonderful main character, Amari, basically her brother went missing and everybody thinks that her brother is dead, but she knows that that's not true. And one day a mysterious suitcase appears in her closet and she kind of gets whisked into this situation. There may be an evil person trying to do bad things to the Bureau. There may be secrets about what happened to her brother, and she's just everything. And this is so much fun. Book 2 is currently out, and I'm planning to read it this month. So stay tuned for if I continue to love it after book 2. But book 1 is phenomenal, and you should definitely check it out. Then rounding off the middle grade, I recently just talked about this in my October wrap-up. I read Empty Smiles, which is the conclusion to the Small Spaces Quartet by Katherine Arden, which is a middle grade spooky series, kind of very a la Goosebumps. We follow our core trio, I guess I would call them, and their shenanigans facing down the Smiling Man. It starts in Small Spaces, which each book is also set in a different season. So Small Spaces is a fall-themed one where they are going to a farm which has a corn maze and creepy scarecrows, and things ensue from there. This was a very fun quartet, very worth the time. I would highly recommend if you're looking for just fun, spooky, but not horror, that you check out Small Spaces. Then a lovely lab mate of mine, VD, sent me Fairy Tale, also for my birthday. So this is the new fantasy book from Stephen King. I know very little about it. I know that there is maybe a little bit of eldritch horror vibes, but it's also mixed in with many, many different grim fairy tales. But it sounds like it kind of gets slow going to get there. So it sounds like the first half of the book is kind of this slice of life, getting introduced to the main character and his elderly German Shepherd, I want to say, and something about what's going on with the dog makes them go on like a portal fantasy quest where there's a lot of different fairy tale elements, obviously fairy tale. So I don't know much more than that. I've been hearing many positive to glowing reviews. I haven't heard many negative reviews. There are a lot of people that seem to prefer the slice of life portion and they didn't care for the portal fantasy portion as much. I have a feeling, knowing my personal reading tastes, I will be the opposite of that, but we will see what happens when I manage to sneak in fairy tale. Then, we all know how I felt about Bubel, and I had the Illumicrate Special Edition, and I did not want it in my house, in my space, cluttering my vibes, hurting my chakra. So I traded my friend Jess over at Jess Owens, and she sent me something for my wish list in return for that book. And so the book that she chose was she sent me Jade City by Fonda Lee. This is book 1 in the Green Bone Saga. And I am probably the last booktuber alive on the face of the planet that has not tried the Green Bone Saga. It seems like it's very much family drama, maybe a little bit of like Yakuza type vibes where there's this like magical jade and these families that control it. And I really don't know much more than that. I just know that everybody and their mom and their grandma and their dead goldfish from when they were 2 seems to have read and loved this book. And so I can't wait to check it out, hopefully in December. Then, because like many people, I enjoyed but didn't necessarily over the moon love Arcane. The art style wasn't exactly my favorite. It was very cool and unique and gave it a very like discernible aesthetic, but I didn't love it. But I have always been curious about like League of Legends lore and stuff like that, because when I play video games, I'm a huge gamer. I really enjoy the lore of the worlds especially, and so I wanted to read a book set in that world. I've read a lot of different video game books. I have Diablo books, Dragon Age books. I have lots of history reading video game books and really loving them, and so I wanted to check this out as well. And so I really don't know much about it. I hear maybe it's kind of political fantasy-esque. I don't know. I just know that it's a very beautiful edition. It's actually quite heavy for how thin it is. This book has some heft and would do some damage to somebody. But it also has like a really nice reversible dust jacket. And this is just like the standard edition that you could go to any bookstore and pick up. But it has this beautiful artwork on the dust jacket. And I hope when I get to it, I love it. I don't know much more than that. But sometimes I like going into books blind because I've really been finding that expectations are a cruel mistress. And if your expectations are skewed at all, sometimes it can really affect how you approach a book. So like, for example, the Book of Gothel by Merrick McMine, I went in thinking it was a Rapunzel retelling. It was not. And so it was just like, and then I really was like, what the hell am I reading? So sometimes I like the expectations being low and very nebulous. Then this is the other book that Alicia so kindly sent to me. So this is Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. This is book 1 in the Skyward series. I believe book 4... Is it book 4? I don't know. The next book is coming out sometime next year. I think it's called Defiant. And so I am looking forward to doing a reread of the Skyward series to get ready for that. And this is just a very fun, I mean, I would call it young adult science fiction. I think that's what it's marketed as. For a second in my brain, I was like, is it middle grade? And I was like, no, I don't really think so. We follow Spencer, whose dad is accused of being kind of this deserter. And so in this world, the humans are kind of sequestered in these caverns below because every once in a while these alien beings swoop down known as the Krell, and they're kind of at this constant warfare. And so one of the highest positions that you can have in this society is to be a sky pilot to kind of go up and fight those Krell. And so since Spencer's father is a deserter from that skyship fleet, she's kind of been blacklisted and has really a chip on her shoulder and struggles trying to prove herself. And so we kind of go on a journey with Spencer as she tries to get into the flight school and what happens, and the world really expands. This series definitely in book 3, Cytonic, it starts to lean more sci-fantasy than science fiction, but I personally prefer that because I find with science fiction, I tend to kind of nitpick the actual science and not let it just be fiction as much as I should. And so when it goes more science fantasy, it's easier for me to suspend my disbelief. This is a super great, fast-paced, action-packed thrill ride of a science fiction / fantasy series, and I can't wait to reread it sometime next year. So next we just have all of the pretty books left with the nice sprayed edges and special edition type things. So my mom is my biggest fan, and so she has subscribed me to Illumicrate, so I get my monthly Illumicrate book thanks to my mom. And so I don't remember what book this was. Was this September? I think this was September. So it was Book Eaters by Sunyi Dean. I actually haven't heard very many people talking about this. There's something about like people feed on stories. I really have no clue. It sounds like maybe horror-esque vibes, but this book has a beautiful naked hardback. So let's just drink it in. I'm almost tempted to just like throw the dust jacket away and then the edges. So this is another stunning edition from Illumicrate, but this is another one where I know very little. People eat stories, maybe some fantasy horror vibes. I really don't know. I don't need to know. Let's just, if you've read it and you think it's really good and I should prioritize it, let me know. I'm thinking maybe I've started collecting, or not collecting, I started getting quite the collection of Illumicrate editions that I haven't tried yet. So I'm thinking maybe doing one of those fun themed TBRs where maybe I try to read some chapters or try to read all of the books that I've gotten from my Illumicrate subscription and do like one of those, is an Illumicrate subscription worth your time type deals, and kind of just read the books that they've been sending out this year, because I've gotten everything since the Book of Night and I haven't even tried that. So if you'd be interested in something like that, please let me know, because I can prioritize doing that maybe sometime next year, because I think that could be fun to see if I'm getting my mom's money worth. Then the October book was The Whispering Dark by Kelly Andrew. This one is giving me kind of dark academia vibes. It is a deaf female main character written by a deaf female author, so we love to see that representation, because how often do you see deaf characters in books? So it sounds like our main character gets admitted into this academy or this kind of prestigious program where she learns how to slip between worlds, and so there's some shenanigans that ensue from that. But let's just drink in the book. So here's the beautiful edges, and then the naked hardback is kind of just an embossed flower. And then this one has reversible dust jacket art. I'm always tempted to like flip these inside out, but then books are so often like just the spines out that I'm like, I don't know. I think that spine sticks out to me more than that spine, but I don't really know. maybe this will be the first book that I try that with. And then the last pretty book that I have is a pre-order that I again forgot that I did. So this is the new copy of the Silmarillion that matches that newer copy of the Lord of the Rings that recently came out, where it has those fun sprayed edges. So here is what she looks like. The edges. And then this one, the Lord of the Rings, this like circle here is kind of cut out, and it's actually like a little peekaboo for what's directly under the dust jacket. This book is not a peekaboo, unfortunately, but the naked hardback is quite lovely. And so the Silmarillion is kind of the collections of myths and legends of kind of the founding of Middle-earth. So if you know, or you've been on this channel for any length of time, you know that my favorite series of all time, at least completed series of all time, is The Lord of the Rings. And I've been recently doing a reread of it and loving being back in this world. And so The Lord of the Rings takes place at the end of what's called the Third Age of Middle-earth. And so the Silmarillion covers what happened in the first age after the creation. It goes from the creation of the world through the first age into the second age, and then all of those things that maybe you hear Aragorn mention Beren and Luthien. So the Lay of Beren and Luthien is a story that's contained in the Silmarillion and has later been expanded. It has its own published version as like a separate novella novel. But the Silmarillion is the kind of the collection of all the lore of this world. It is not written in a traditional narrative structure. It's kind of these separate stories that are in mostly chronological order, kind of detailing from the creation through the end of the Second Age. So you definitely should not start with the Silmarillion. I think that it's one of those things kind of like Fire and Blood for A Song of Ice and Fire, that if you already have buy-in and love the world, you'll enjoy learning more of the lore. But if you don't have the buy-in and love the world already, I don't know that this would snag you unless you just really love like creation myths. So take that for what you will. But those are all the books that I have managed to accrue over the last few months, since like June or July. And so I've been doing a pretty good job of not buying too many books, but there's still so many books that I want that I don't have, but it's okay. It's okay. I always want all of the books. I'm sure if you're watching BookTube, you too want all of the books. But those are everything that I've collected lately. If you've read any of these or want any more deets or want to chat with me in the comments down below, I'd love to hear it. Or if you'd just like to let me know your favorite book you've gotten over the last few months, or if you're just one of those people that likes to watch and maybe leave an emoji, maybe leave a little book stack since it's a book haul. But that will conclude today's video. So with that, I'll bring it to a close and just say like this video if you liked it. Subscribe if you haven't already for more bookish shenanigans like this from moi. And other than that, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye!